slowly trickling into Africa from the West.
Right then, I appreciate that you could speak to us. That's Michael Osei-Asibi. He is the president of the Humanist Association of Ghana, a rights group, speaking to us this afternoon. And there'll be a lot more on this for you if you stay with us here on 3FM 92.7. Our bulletin is streaming live on Facebook, 3FM 927, as well as on Twitter, 3FM 927. We'll be taking you to Parliament as well, speak to Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Komla Kluche, because we're staying in Parliament where MPs are returning today, or they should have returned, to possibly consider 3 revenue bills government is seeking to pass as part of the conditionality for an IMF bailout. The bills are the Income Tax Amendment Bill 2022, the Excise Duty Amendment Bill 2022, and the Growth and Sustainability Levy Bill 2022. The Business Committee has kicked against the introduction of the bills, which they contend will not only increase the cost of doing business but also lead to hikes in prices of commodities as well as goods and services. Now, even though the minority vowed to reject the new tax measures, events of last Friday ruling in the approval of some ministerial nominees against the popular opinion have raised concerns about the minority's commitment to keeping its word. Ahead of today's consideration of the bill, the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, they've called on government to stop the introduction of what they describe as the obnoxious taxes. Clement Boateng is vice president of GUTA. He's been speaking to 3FM, and we can hear from him now.
Increase an additional. The policy rate has been increased, and additional 150 basis has been added, not to talk about the numerous levies and taxes that we are paying at the port. So businesses are really suffering. We don't see the need for government, to lay this bill before Parliament. Government must try as much as possible, to find other means of raising revenue to meet its obligations, but not to always look at the port and try to burden the business community.
That's Clement Boateng. He's vice president of GUTA, or seeking to raise on the telephone line as well Richard Amohene, a tax expert, on what these new taxes could mean and the conversation going forward, because GUTA is not the only group who've kicked against the introduction of these new taxes. Last week, we spoke to the General Agricultural Workers Union, who are asking government to consider other revenue measures, plucking the revenue loopholes rather than introducing new taxes to burden the already burdened taxpayers. And so that's the conversation, even as the nuance as to where the minority's commitments lie also is a conversation that's being had here in the country. But you're listening to the news here on 3FM 92.7. We're streaming live on Facebook. Our handles 3FM 927. We'll be taking you as well to the OT region pretty shortly, because at least 8 persons have been confirmed dead after a boat ferrying mourners capsized on a tributary of the Oti River in the region there. Work the phone lines and speak to the assembly member for the Wurinja community as well for details. But Richard Amohene is a tax expert that will work in the phone lines to get more details from. Indication we get is that phone lines are not being answered. So let's take you to the Oti region now. I've been talking to you about at least 8 persons being confirmed dead, and the accident reportedly occurred between Bajoti in the Krachi in Chumuru district and Sabaja in the Krachi West municipality. And the information we have is that a total of 11 persons were on board the canoe when the unfortunate incident happened yesterday, out of which 8 are reported to have lost their lives. And according to the assembly member of the Buringa electoral area, all the bodies have been found after a recovery mission carried out earlier. It comes weeks after a similar incident, this time claimed several lives at Azizanya at Adan. Francis Yalbio, he's joined us. He's assembly member for Urinja electoral area. He's joined us. Many thanks, sir. So how did this incident occur? Do we know?
Hello?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me, please?
Yeah.
So, what more do we know about this incident? How did it happen?
Okay. The incident happened through the canoe that they used. Hello?
I'm listening to you, sir. The canoe that they used, was it?
Yeah, the canoe was too small to take those people, because they were 12, 11 in number, including the one driving the canoe. So making 12, and the canoe was too small. So and the one driving the canoe too is a young boy, almost 14 to 15 years. So he's too small to drive the canoe. So he tried to take those people to the funeral where they are performing the funeral. So that place too, they don't normally work there, because that boy, he's only helping because they call him to help them, because they don't work there as maybe canoe runners or boat runners. No, they don't run there. That's why they don't have life jackets and other things. But where they are going to the funeral is closer to where the people live. So they called, he's doing his fishing work, and they call him to come and help them, because that place is very short.
Right.
So he was trying to help.
It was just a short distance, but have all the bodies been recovered from the river?
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me, please?
Yeah.
I'm asking if they've recovered all the bodies from the river.
You have 1 minute remaining.
It's breaking.
Right, appears that he cannot hear us as well, and so we'll try one more time and also deal with the additional challenge to which you might have heard here on 3FM 92.7. But while we try work the phone lines and get some more details, a former Chief Executive Officer of the Minerals Commission, Dr. Tony Obeng, says regulatory loopholes are contributing to huge losses in revenue to the state through smuggling of gold and other resources. It follows an Al Jazeera investigative piece which revealed widespread smuggling of gold every month to the tune of $40 million by syndicates across the continent. The investigations show the individuals and in some cases groups driving gold smuggling and money laundering worth billions of dollars in Southern Africa. Here are excerpts of that piece titled Gold Mafia, involving the kingpin Matthias Alistair.
Matthias is also a gold trader. He's a financial architect who builds money laundering schemes for corrupt politicians.
Thank you for coming.
No, I was as I say, partly from Dubai.
Yeah, when we're saying you helped the Russians.
Yes. No, shut up.
We want to make sure that the mechanism works.
Okay.
I've been doing it for about almost 13 years now, 14 years.
Matthias offers to launder Mr. Stanley's money through his gold trading network across Africa.
Ghana, I do 1 ton, so I do $40 million every month out of Ghana. This region, I do probably about 500 to a ton again.
Yeah.
So I do roughly about $70-80 million every month. We can export from Zambia, I can export from South Africa.
We have a company in Zambia, Angola, Mozambique. We can export from anywhere.
So excerpt of the latest piece by Al Jazeera, dubbed or titled Gold Mafia, for former Chief Executive Officer of the Minerals Commission and player in the extractive industry, Dr. Tony Obeng. The revelations are worrying and disappointing. He says it is time Ghana develops stringent mechanisms to tighten the porous borders and also ensure electronic tagging of the minerals. He spoke to Alfred Okansi on Ghana Tonight.
One key thing that we need to develop is trying to have an electronic means of tagging the gold produced from Ghana. Every diamond in the world, people know where they are coming from. If you go to Belgium and you send diamond from Ghana, they know by some means, by some tagging means, this diamond is coming from Ghana. So maybe eventually one of the things that we could do is to just follow the same route, that all the gold that are exported must have some inbuilt mechanism that will help people detect where they are coming from. Secondly, I think we have to tighten the border. Our borders, we have to tighten them and monitor them very carefully to ensure that people who are caught, people will be caught easily. we should find a way of doing that technologically or by whatever training. That would be very, very important. Again, we need to probably sit down with these producers, these informal producers, probably look at why they are smuggling them. What is it that motivates them? Is it the taxes that they have to pay? Is the tax too much? Is there any other way getting some benefit from them rather than just subject them to formal tax? Because if they are exporting because of the 3% or 1% or so that they are going to pay, then we have to look at how much we are losing and see if there could be some proper education. But I think we need to be very strict as
That's former Chief Executive Officer of the Minerals Commission and player in the extractive industry, Dr. Tony Obeng. Will return, do some politics now, and take you to the headquarters of the opposition, NDC at Adabraka, where Dr. Kwabena Dufo, is aspiring presidential candidate, is facing the vetting committee of the party. The former central bank governor and finance minister has offered himself to lead the opposition party into the 2024 elections. His vetting comes a day after John Mahama's. Evelyn Tingma is my colleague there. She's joining us on phone, and already at the background you can tell a lot of drumming and noise making currently. Evelyn, talk to us about how long he has been seeing the vetting committee.
Right, Mawuena, I can hardly hear you, but Dr. Kwabena Dufo spent 1 hour 30 minutes in the vetting room, and he finally came out. And when he came out, he didn't address the media. Actually, it's the former MP for myself, Chris Bako, who addressed the media, and he indicated that the candidate was eloquent when they asked him the questions. He said there was many asked questions concerning his intentions for the party as well as that of the country, and he is hopeful that whatever answers that their candidate gave are the right answers, and he will be cleared by the vetting committee to contest for the flag bearership race of the NDC. Mawuena.
Right then, Evelyn, many thanks for providing those updates to us. That's my colleague Evelyn Tingma from the NDC headquarters, where the noise is drowning the conversation a bit. But away from this, to some rather sad development, and Member of Parliament for the Kumewu constituency, Philip Baswa, is dead. The 54-year-old MP died on Monday at the Kolobu Teaching Hospital after taking ill on Friday. Majority Chief Whip Frank Anodompre confirmed the death early this morning in a social media post. The MP was one of the absentee MPs on the floor of Parliament on Friday when the House took votes to approve the President's ministerial nominees. Philip Baswa first won the Kumewu constituency elections in 2012, retaining the seat in the 2020 elections. Parliament would be expected to inform the Electoral Commission about the death of the MP and a by-election organized. And he's had a tortuous political journey since he became known in the political scene during former President John Agyekum Kufuor's era. In the following report, William Evans Income chronicles the late Kumewu MP Philip Baswa's political life.
Philip Baswa has had some highs and lows in his political journey. His first appointment came during former President John Agyekum Kufuor's era, when he was appointed as District Chief Executive for Kumewu area. Now, guess what? Somewhere along the line, he was relieved of his post because he had some internal issues, or there were some internal issues between him and the then constituency chairman. But after a series of investigations, he was exonerated and then brought back, or given back, his position.
Baswa, immovable Baswa.
In 2012, Philip Baswa won the primaries against Yaban, who was the then Member of Parliament for Kumewu constituency. But 2012, when Philip Baswa led the party, or the ruling NPP, in the Kumewu constituency, he gave the party one of its biggest wins. In terms of percentage, Philip Baswa was able to appreciate the party's gain by 68%. Then in 2016, it was an overwhelming victory for Philip Baswa and, of course, his party, the NPP, rising from 68% to 78% of vote share as far as the Kumewu constituency is concerned.
colleague William Evansinkum with that report. Away from this, and the Concerned Drivers Association, they've described as unreasonable plans by the National Road Safety Authority to ban commercial minibuses from long-distance journeys. According to the group, the measure alone cannot end road crashes if equally important factors are not tackled. Here, there's more in this report by my colleague Christian Yali.
The involvement of minibuses in road accident, which claimed about 17 lives over the weekend, has brought to the fore earlier attempt by the National Road Safety Authority. The accidents have been described as unacceptable, and the Road Safety Authority is liaising with relevant stakeholders to ban commercial minibuses from long-distance journey.
At times, they jump the gun by saying all these words. Road safety started this thing not today. Even the state itself now is using these Toyota buses because it's luxurious and it's durable and it's strong too as well. So them clamping down on those vehicles, to me, it is not the best.
According to David Abuado, causes of road crashes are multifaceted and require a holistic approach.
It is not the vehicles that are causing the accident. It is the drivers that are causing the accident. At times, our roads too are also causing the accident. And they should bring another stakeholders that will take in charge of the bus, the rest stops.
David Agbaro and then Christian Yala's report will end with some interest for you, and he started off as a rapper. I'm talking about Nigerian comedian Bright Okpocha, better known in showbiz circles as Basket Mouth, a witty and entertainer who is in Ghana for a one-man stand-up comedy concert, has been opening up to Giovanni and AJ Sapon on the 3FM Drive. He says he is back to where his comedy career shot to prominence for the first time more than 10 years ago. Listen.
Your style is one that I don't know if you write every joke you dish out on that stage, but it comes like a flow. It came from the fact that I'm a rapper. You know, rappers we have, it's like poetry. So, and with me, when I say writing materials, it's hard for you to know where my material is heading to. You know, when a rapper is writing his verse, you will never know where he's going to drop. And that's what I do with comedy. So you're in Ghana 2 weeks early. What exactly does that mean? I'm in Ghana to do my one-man stand-up comedy show. Myself and Nabil, we spoke and it was like, let's bring it to Ghana. And I was like, definitely, because in actual fact, the first foreign country I traveled to, this time I came out to do a gig, it was in Ghana. It was Charterhouse. Yes, two things involved.
So you see, that performance was what blew me.
Are you serious?
Yes, that particular performance. So it was on YouTube.
Yes.
That was the video that when I did South Africa Blacks Only, that was the video they saw. When Russell Peters, Russell Peters, the comedian, when he picked me up to open for him, that was the video he saw. Just for last festival, that was the video they saw.
You owe us this.
Yes.
You owe us this. Like, come on.
Yeah. That performance actually opened a lot of doors for me, and I want to recreate that moment.
That's Nigerian comedian Basket Mouth, ending this afternoon's edition of the news here on 3FM 92.7. Anokia Mensa Brampa, she's here ready to bring us the very latest from the world of business. I am Eric Mawuena Egbeta. A lot more news when you log on to 3news.com. Good afternoon.
It's still 3FM 92.7. A very good afternoon to you. Thank you for staying with us. Time for Business Daily with me, Nana Ikuya Mensa Abrampa. Coming up this afternoon, CDC some gains against trading partners as China reportedly agrees to join a creditor committee for Ghana's debt relief talks. An Institute of Chartered Economists Ghana says the policy rate hike will erode profits of businesses. We have all the details in the next 10 minutes. Please stay. Let's settle for the details now as the city is creeping higher against its major trading partners as lenders reportedly hold first creditor meeting to discuss possible debt relief to support Ghana's bailout program with the International Monetary Fund, the IMF. The local currency is selling at 12 cedis, 13 pesos on the retail market, representing nearly 2% appreciation from its value on Monday. The cedi has largely remained stable from last week following the government's announcement that China is willing to offer financial assurance to Ghana.
Across the market, it looks like there is some momentum over the last few days, if not the last fortnight, really. It's obvious we are quite close to getting a board level approval now. I think the obstacles on the way turn out not to be the bilateral creditor committee so much again, but more of a local parliament and how those three tax bills will be passed. With China coming on board, attending the first creditor committee, considering the request to co-chair, the reality is that the things that have driven the cedi down from last year, the picture seemed to not have changed so much, even if the dynamics are different. From last year, reserves were much higher than they are now, but the cedi is relatively more stable this year than it was last year. So I think some of these little developments kind of speak to the relative stability we've seen. Of course, 22% depreciation year to date is quite significant.
That was Courage Boti. He is the lead researcher with GCB Capital. Now, the Institute of Chartered Economists Ghana says the hike in the policy rate is likely to cripple industry and lead to downsizing by businesses. The Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana increased the policy rate by 150 basis points to 29.5% as it moves to mop up excess liquidity on the market. This simply means that if you intend to borrow, you pay more interest on your loans, and if you're already facilitating a loan, be sure that the interest rate on these loans you are paying would go up. The latest hike is the 8th since November 2021, totaling 15 percentage points.
The expectation of many analysts was either the central bank maintains or reduces the policy rate, but the bank increased it to 29.5%. A fellow of the Institute of Chartered Economists Ghana and Greater Accra Regional President of AGI, Chonam Apelu, thinks the central bank is over-concentrating on mopping up excess liquidity on the market.
Inflation is not necessarily caused by the many monies in the system as we are made to believe. Inflation most at times is imported. Loans have become so high, so much so that our industries are unable to have access to credit they need to expand. And it's making issues so difficult for industries so that we have to even downsize.
A lecturer at Koforidia Technical University, Felix Owusujebi, indicates the high interest rate will erode profits of businesses and discourage entrepreneurship.
Government is thinking about their interest of raising revenue and then stabilizing the economy. But looking at the current economic state, I think we are not in a very good position for government to increase the rate. It will make borrowing expensive, and then most of the banks even will declare losses, and then profits of most businesses will go down. Entrepreneurs, young ones who would want to set up businesses, will not be able to access capital to do that.
An economist, Dr. Wolanyo Mensah, urges government to relook the country's policy and interest rate regime.
Only way we can bring the local economy back on track is to be able to give some stimulus supports to businesses in order to revive them. But if government continue to increase the policy rate, definitely the various commercial banks will also increase the interest rate. Most businesses will be using their profits in the settlement of these debts, and it's really going to collapse more businesses.
Right, so that's how analysts and industry players react to the recent increase in policy rates to 29.5% by the Bank of Ghana, a report put together by my colleague Ebenezer Ejekumboating. Meanwhile, Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Ernest Addison, wants Parliament to pass the 3 revenue bills as soon as possible to advance Ghana's program with the IMF. The Bank of Ghana and the Finance Ministry have finalized a memorandum of understanding on zero financing of the country's budget. According to the central bank, passage of the relevant bills is critical in resetting the economy on the path of recovery.
It is imperative that prioritizes the passage of the revenue bills currently before it. Under the staff-level agreement with the IMF, the Bank of Ghana and the Ministry of Finance have finalized a memorandum of understanding on zero financing to the budget, which will be signed shortly. The passage of the relevant revenue bills by Parliament will therefore conclude the required prior actions to advance Ghana's program to the IMF Executive Board. This will be critical in resetting the economy on the path of recovery, including putting it firmly on a disinflation path.
Dr. Ernest Addison is the governor of the central bank. And government's last treasury bills auction was undersubscribed by 76 million, that is 766 million cedis, as it failed to meet its 3,206 million target. Director of Business Operations at Dalex Finance, Joe Jackson, thinks the delay in Ghana securing the IMF bailout could account for the undersubscription. He notes the public is evaluating the T-bills market.
I believe that the general public is now carefully evaluating its options as to continue lending to the central government, since its immediate relief is not coming soon. And since the Minister of Finance and His Excellency the President himself had said there could be dire consequences if we don't get the IMF relief at the end of March, I believe that the reason why it is undersubscribed is that the public are evaluating to say, the people I'm lending to, they said they will get some relief at the end of March. That relief hasn't come. So just maybe I should be cautious about giving them more money. I think this trend will stay until we get a clearer picture of what is happening from the government.
Joe Jackson is the Director of Business Operations at Dalex Finance, and well, the wait and see attitude on the T-bills market. We'll see how the next market will look like in coming days. But remember, when you log on to thoroughnews.com, we have more business news updates. That's it for Business Daily this afternoon with me, Nana Ikuya Mensah Brampa. Enjoy your lunch. Black Rasta continues shortly. Good afternoon.